Snowfall, the made-for-TV drama set in the backdrop of sunny Los Angeles in the early 1980s, tells the story of how the CIA spearheaded the drug trade and caused crack cocaine to steamroll across the country like a blazing inferno. In reality, this gritty but action-packed series, which airs every Wednesday night, is based upon true accounts and an actual individual better known as OG, Free Ray Rick Ross. This TV series is laced and littered with gameology. One character that fits the bill for our topic of a domineering female persona is a character within this TV series named Aunt Louie. But most men have it misconstrued and misunderstood that they think a domineering woman primarily and exclusively acts like this.
You think I'm that pressed by somebody I still pay for? How you like that? I'm funny now, bitch?
But in all actuality, this dominant female persona is discreet yet assertive. And in all truth, it operates more in line like this.
Just trying to look out, as always.
Well, we're glad you got your own dreams.
We are.
But they're not ours.
So lean in and learn why so many men is reduced to a poison pond and crumble at the feet of this antagonistic, domineering female persona. Hey brethren, what's good? Let me plug the channel real quick. Welcome to the Chronicles of Gameology. I'm your host, Neo K. Marcellus. Now, that's checkmate. By the tone and inclination of that intro you just witnessed, I'm assuming that there's two insistent and pressing questions falling over one another to be answered and explained. Now, the first of these questions is this. What exactly is the ingredients that makes a woman authoritative and domineering? Second question that's screaming to be answered is the inquiry. Why exactly are a good portion of men so exposed and vulnerable when it comes to this type of woman? This ginormous and massive body of knowledge on what constitutes and comprises the subject matter of a domineering woman falls under the category of the catching hand. This body of knowledge, the catching hand, I did an entire show breaking down this concept. It falls under the lionizing series or the lionizing your mindset series, law number 6. Here's the link. Check it out once you get finished viewing this episode. But for the sake of clarity, and for those who haven't seen that 6th show on lionizing your mindset, the catching hand is the body of knowledge that OGs back in the day used to lace you up on and bring you up to speed on in understanding this vast body of information known as the male and female relationship dynamic. Now, let's continue with that first question that I proposed at the beginning of this episode, which was, what exactly is the ingredients that make up this personality? There are 4 kinds of assertive and authoritative class of shorties when it comes to understanding this subject matter of a dominating female persona. Now remember, gameology and the game of life is a high-powered and multifaceted system. This erroneous view that a one-size-fits-all suitable behavior criteria when it comes to females for us fellas is a status quo and a square point of view. Also, for clarity, since I'm in the business of airing things out and put them in the proper perspective, from the philosophy and line of reasoning of a gameologist, a square is an individual who is entrenched into 4 absolutes. These 4 absolutes provide no wiggle room for this individual to maneuver upon the chessboard of life. These 4 absolutes deals with the concept of no, the concept of yes, and the concept of right or wrong. When an individual is entrenched into these four absolutes, and when you hear a gameologist refer to an individual as being a square, he is speaking to an individual who has no dexterity in understanding how life provides certain dynamics that cause you to step outside of these four confinements. So he just goes along with the herd, so to speak. Having said that, let me jump back into airing out these particulars when it comes to this female domineering personality. So one vital and crucial particular that needs to be highlighted is this ingredient that's embedded into the DNA of this fussy female personality. But remember also, like I said earlier, there are four kinds of assertive and domineering type female personalities. But this crucial ingredient that I just mentioned is known from a street perspective as the Medusa effect. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the concept of Medusa, this monstrosity and hideous creature, it comes from Greek mythology. It was portrayed as a woman with hissing and venomous serpents substituted for a hairdo, whose terrifying appearance would turn any man into stone who happens to gaze upon her image. Now, metaphorically, from a street perspective, this Medusa effect is when a assertive and domineering female turns her wit upon a man and takes away his spontaneity and his vitality. Also, for full disclosure, this tactic, this concept of the Medusa effect, men utilize this tactic as well. But peep game, going back to the domineering assertive female persona, when she administers her poison, she utilized different tools within the toolbox, because this concept of the Medusa effect is like a cabinet that has many drawers within it. So the tool that she utilized is referred to as a trifecta. Now, the term trifecta is a betting term that horse players use in order to place money on when they're betting on the ponies. But within the context of gameology and the catching hand, this concept or this term is a tactic utilized by a domineering female when she plays up and brings into the mix a third element, so she can leverage a situation to her advantage. So for instance, let's say you're having a conversation with a domineering and assertive female you just recently met, and y'all both are working out some particulars when it's best for the two of you to get together and hook up. This trifecta tactic, it works something like this. For all intents and purposes, also, let's say that Friday is the day you decided that it's legitimate for the two of you in order to get together. She will reply something on the lines like this: "What about Tuesday? Cause on Friday I have a date and a commitment already scheduled." Peep game. She have just interjected a third element into the situation so she can apply leverage. And if you are a checkers player, and if you take the bait and say something game goofy, something like this: "Oh, who is this individual?" Then she will reply and say something equivalent like, "Psst, don't worry, it's just some drinks and something to snack on. I'm really interested in going out with you." Now, doubling back to that made-for-TV drama, Snowfall, and that assertive female character I spotlighted at the beginning of this video, that fits the bill, by the way, of a assertive, domineering female persona. I'm going to show you how this trifecta tactic comes into play in a particular episode in this gut-wrenching TV drama. In this clip, the character, Aunt Louie, she goes behind her business partner's back to make contact with the agent who supplies the product. And she's going to implement this trifecta tactic once she sees the disapproval upon the agent's face. And after this clip, we will pick it up from there.
I want to buy directly from you. I feel like we did good business for a long while there when Franklin was hurt.
Franklin know about this?
I considered going to the Colombians.
Better the devil you know, right?
Oh, what a wicked web we weave when we first practice to deceive, as the prevailing wisdom declares and memorializes. However, I must emphasize that a practicing gameologist understands that a domineering and assertive female is not inherently negative and need to be looked upon as something to be avoided and demonized. Oh, by all means, if you was in court and you had a female attorney standing next to you, you definitely want her to be domineering and assertive. The type of men that have problems with these type of females is the men, or the type of men that is devoid of any knowledge of the catching hand and gameology itself. Now, the problem and issue with these sort of feisty and spunky type of females is when they primarily and exclusively have a win-lose frame of mind. Meaning, in order for them to win, they constantly got to make you lose. And this is when things spill over into the body of knowledge of shystyism and the shysty squad of six, as it's referred to from a street perspective. Which is the reason why a man must possess a workable and functional level of street savviness and know-how so he can detect these type of mannerisms. At last, let me address the second question I proposed at the beginning of this video, which was, why exactly are a good portion of men so exposed and ill-prepared when contending and dealing with these type of females? Also, hit that like and subscribe and notification bell, because like I said many times before, it would definitely do me a solid to lend a hand to this explanation as to why so many men become vulnerable when dealing with an assertive type of female. The chessboard provides the clue. And in plain sight, if I might add, ingrained into his geometry and his makeup. Check out this image I'm currently showing you. As you already are familiar with, a chessboard is comprised of 64 lighter shade and darker shade squares. But for the explanation on why exactly so many men are vulnerable when dealing with a domineering type of female persona, check out the squares alongside the circumference of this image, indicated by the red numbers positioned on the outskirts of this chessboard. These squares in particular add up to the number 28. I'm already knowing that wedge that's sitting between your curiosity and the question on the tip of your tongue. How does this tie into explaining that second question on why men, or a certain portion of men, are vulnerable when it comes to an assertive and domineering type of female? Now, once more, peep game. It is well known and thoroughly understood among psychologists that our habits and the way we react and respond to certain occurrences and behaviors are established and consistently reinforced by this 28-day cycle. Now, check out this image that I'm currently showing you. Taking this 28-day cycle and dividing it by 4 will emerge a neurological configuration indicated by the 4 quadrants on this image that I'm currently showing you. This answers the second question that proposes, why is it a good portion of men become sideswiped and bewildered when dealing with an assertive and domineering type of female? This neurological configuration, fundamentally, it works like this. Our reactions to what transpires upon the gritty but necessary chessboard of life, it initiates a trigger. that then causes a thirst or a need, if you will, which motivates or produces a knee-jerk reaction, which provides a payoff, which in then satisfies the trigger, which ultimately becomes associated with the reaction that initiate everything in the first place. Together, these 4 steps or these 4 quadrants I just got through explaining, they form a neurological relating system that ultimately allows you and me to create and deeply implant habits and character traits that we consistently showcase and flaunt on a everyday and a minute by minute basis. Going back to the significance of how I use the game of chess to shed light upon the principles of game. When it comes to playing the game of chess, there are 3 phases to the game. First phase is referred to as the opening. The second phase is referred to as the middle, and the third phase is referred to as the end game. By the same token, maneuvering upon the chessboard of life and dealing with female and male relationship dynamics, there are 3 phases to this scenario as well. Right now, as you watch this episode, you are engaging into one of these 3 phases that I just got through mentioning. The name of these 3 phases when it comes to the chessboard of life is referred to as competition, conflict, or collaboration. Right now, just like I just stated, you are engaging into one of these 3 phases, either with an individual or several individuals for the betterment of a target outcome that you have determined is worthy of your time and your energy. And this is the reason why it's so crucial for a man to establish his footing and standing when it comes to the game of life. Because he's either going to be at the game or he's going to be in the game. Meaning, men who are merely just at the game are blindsided by our assertive, domineering type of female persona because they are oblivious to these 3 phases that I just got through explaining. Especially when it comes to the phase of competition. So, being aware of techniques and tactics like the medusa effect and a trifecta technique is an essential need and understanding that if a man is going to be in the game, especially if he's dealing with an assertive and domineering type of female who has a win-lose type of mentality, meaning in order for her to win, she got to make you lose. This body of knowledge that's contained within these 3 phases is so very vast, I would have to do several shows, and I will, breaking down its contents. Like I said many times before, all of this knowledge, it fits up under the body of wisdom contained within the catching hand. Also, Snowfall, this made-for-TV drama that has so many of these pearls and gems that equates to real-life occurrences, I will be doing most shows drawing the correlations between the pearls and gems and the philosophy of gameology. In conclusion, from a square and a checkers player's perspective, dealing with a domineering and assertive type of female as a choice is looked upon as a glass being half empty. But from a gameologist and a chess player's perspective, because of their vast knowledge of this catching hand, they see the opposite of this scenario. They see it as a glass which is half full. Now that's checkmate. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next episode.